Is there anything I can do for you two? I'm afraid that Wangsheng's funeral parlor isn't in the best state to receive guests.
We've come to see Zhongli. Could you please tell him we're here?
Unfortunately, Zhongli isn't here at the moment. It seems he went to Northland Bank.
Doesn't the Northland Bank belong to the Fatui? Last time we saw Zhongli was before we went to the Golden House. Do you think he doesn't know about the attack on Lilith? Visiting the Fatui at a time like this could... We had better go and make sure that everything is okay.
A reward on the road.
You call this cooperation between Harbingers? Cooperation involves communication, you know.
Don't take it to heart, child. Besides, aren't you happy that you got to skip the formalities and bring chaos to the land? I'm sure you must have enjoyed that. Oh, it seems that some of your friends have arrived.
Hey, it's Zhongli and Child. And... you!
It's you two. I believe we've met once before. In the city of Bards, was it? I'm glad you still remember my name. Ah, right. I imagine that it must have been rather hard to forget watching helplessly as something precious was snatched away from your friend.
Well, if it isn't you two. This is our first time seeing each other since Liyue was nearly wiped off the map. This is certainly a bit...
Paimon knew that we should never have trusted a Fatui Harbinger.
Oh, now don't say that. Sure, I may have misled you, but I never had anything against... Besides, I thought we were getting along quite well together, didn't you? Except for that little tussle we had at the end. Nothing personal. We just have different views, that's all. Of course, you may very well hold this against me. The real deceivers here are Senora and Zhongli. Curse them for leading me on. So actually,
Stop wasting time, child. There'll be plenty of time to chat once I'm through here. You remember the agreement, Morax. Now, if you would be so kind. The Gnosis, please.
What in the world are you talking about?
The contract is fulfilled. That which thou seeketh is now bestowed unto thee.
How sanctimonious.
What? So you're the Lord of Chio? No, wait. That's an exciting twist and all, but why give the Gnosis to the Fatui?
I do not give it for free. I give it as agreed upon in the contract, for it is a matter solely between the Tsaritsa and I.
Yeah, you don't think you went a little bit too far with that whole fake death thing? Everyone was preparing the ceremony for you, and splat! This big dragon bubble!
Gathering all the forces that had been bubbling behind the scenes, and then stirring them together in a...
Wait, what?
Perhaps it's best that as you know, I've dwelt upon this world for more than 6,000 years. It is now 3,700 years ago that I found even boulders that can withstand whirlpools will erode with the passing of time. I kept convincing myself that cracks had not begun to form, and that the end of my time had... until one drizzly day. As I was strolling along the harbor, I heard a merchant tell one of his workers, "You finished your duty." I stood motionless among the crowds, asking myself,
Oh, Zhongli.
but as I began to consider relinquishing my divine role, I soon discovered that many reasons still remained to not hastily depart. Was Liyue, the city I had dwelt in for so long, already prepared to enter its next age? So I feigned my own death, and gathered the cast of Child, the Adepti, and the Liyue Chising to play their roles together on the stage that was Liyue. Indeed I was. The gnosis which I had kept for so many years suddenly seemed to have lost its meaning. That's right. Which is why I continued to safeguard the
So you mean that if the chaos ever reached the point of no return, you would simply appear and use your divine powers to bring
Of course. And it would have been all too easy for him, too. Just as a child quickly matures after losing their parents, so has Liyue matured when faced with the death of...
In the end, the resolution to all that has transpired was even more satisfactory than I could have hoped for. Take the Adepti, for instance. Owing to their years of seclusion, they were the least informed. Yet when faced with a crisis, they commendably showed the greatest amount of restraint possible. Not only did they manage to credit is also due to Signora, the emissary dispatched by the Cryo-Archon to fulfill our contract. At my request, she kept everything she knew in strict confidence. This, despite the eavesdropping ears. This meant I could remain as Zhongli, even having the chance to fulfill the age-old traditions of Liyue in this mortal form. All of these things turned out as I had planned. There is only one thing that I had not anticipated, and that was the conduct of the Liyue. I had expected them to do no more than the Adepti, to come to the defense of Liyue. But when all was, they seized the opportunity to supplant Liyue's divine protectors, and used the subsequent power vacuum left by my death to quickly gain complete control of...
Huh? That doesn't sound good at all!
On the contrary, I think it is excellent. I had always feared that it was too soon for them to take over from me. And it was also that which I longed for the most. As such, this is the best parting gift anyone could...
Hey, what about me? Doesn't anyone feel the least bit of remorse for deceiving me? You've practically kept me in the dark!
I think that thanks would be more appropriate. You certainly played no small part in all of this, wreaking havoc and turning the city upside down. The Lord of Geo ought to thank you for your performance. If you hadn't created the pressure of a battle between mortals, Adepti, and a god, the lump of coal resting in the hands of the Geo-Archon...
Huh? Just whose side are you on, mocking me like that? Are you itching for a fight? Hey, haven't you learned the Liyue saying, don't always call it as you see it?
Well then, with the Gnosis in my possession, I have no use for such idle chatter. We should return to Zappolyarny Palace and seek an audience with Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa. Come, child.
Fine. I'll meet you there later. I'm not sharing a boat with the likes of you.
Do as you wish.
Now then, is there anything else you wish to ask me?
Right! As Zhongli always told us, a good trade is a fair trade. Paimon...
Realistically speaking, there is...
Huh?
However, I am the god of contracts. For thousands of years, I have made countless contracts. If the deal was of no benefit, my agreement with the Cryo-Archon will be the last of my contracts as the Geo-Archon. My contract to end. As for the bargaining chip that the Tsaritsa used to balance the scales, uncover that answer for yourself in your future journeys.
Paimon can't absorb so much information at once. So, Zhongli, what sort of contract did you sign with the Cryo-Archon?
One of the clauses of our contract was not to divulge any of its contents.
You're so petty. Paimon can't... So, Zhongli...
One of the...
Today's the day of the rite of parting. Although the star of the show is fake, we've spent so much time trying to organize it, it would be a real shame not to go there now.
Well, since we're going through with this rite of parting, I guess it means that those rumors...
So Rex Lapis is really... But they didn't catch the culprit, did they?
Oh, come on. Do you think that the assassin could have been a normal person? You know what I think? I don't think any of the gossip on the streets you hear from those shady... There's only one real possibility in my mind. I've heard that the assassin is that Fatui fellow. Youngish, pretty high in rank.
Fatui? They certainly are very suspicious.
Shh! Lower your voice. If the Fatui catch you in their sights, Rex Lapis won't be around to protect you this time.
You know that god from the ocean couldn't have just shown up out of nowhere. I mean, it's been 2,000 years since Rex Lapis subdued it.
Yes, and to think that this happened right on the heels of the incident with Rex Lapis, too.
Say, do you think the person who assassinated our lord and released that evil god might have been one?
Now that you mention it, that's very possible. Yeah, I mean, it all fits together. That person must have colluded with the evil god to harm Rex Lapis. Oh, that wicked, black-hearted scout. Still, what sort of supernatural prowess must this person possess to—
Ah, forget it. Guessing's no use to us. Look, the milliliter—
Hear ye all, the Chising's words. Though a dragon soars ageless as the mountains, it too must return to dust. The gods and adepti live glorious lives, but both light and shadow have their season. Rumors and hearsay abound on the streets that Rex Lapis was murdered. Now, having been thwarted in his trial, Rex Lapis's soul has recouped the celestial heights. Nor are they to believe street-born rumors or indulge in baseless speculation.
Paimon needs a translation on what the Chising's announcement said. So that's how they're spinning it. Something feels off. Why would they suddenly give up looking for the murderer? Not to mention how this excuse sounds like something they just made up on— Could the Chising already have known that Rex Lapis wasn't dead? But Zhongli said that neither— Did Zhongli tell them in secret after his gnosis changed hands? Exactly, right? Ooh, seems like the rite of parting has been going on for a while now. Look, it's Ningguang and Keqing. Are they saying something? Are their speeches over?
As said previously, Rex Lapis's soul returning to the heavens is the end of the contract. And it is also the end of an era.
3,700 years of contracts burnt and reduced to ash.
We, the people of Liyue, were indeed prosperous. But blinded by our prosperity, we forgot that
The long, unending dream of our Archon walking among us.
now that we have awoken from our dream, we must learn to say farewell. Will you stand with us as we re-establish our contracts?
So concludes the words of Her Eminence the Tianquan. Does Her Eminence the Yuheng have anything to add?
Huh? Is she looking this way?
Traveler.
Yikes! She really is looking our way!
Is that the traveler who they say defeated the ancient god?
So young.
The Liyue Chising always repay their debts. And as you have heard, our eyes see far and our reach is long. Name your price.
Whoa!
Well, could you help me put up some missing person posters?
Roping you in was possibly the most masterful move we could have made.
The cleanup of the premises, managing the crowds as they exit, making an account of the rite. There's much that remains to be done.
Why, were you just trying to look cool earlier, or are you really that If you were looking for someone, you could have just told me that in private.
Thinking that they'll never see, and here you are looking all relaxed.
Why would I not feel more at ease after laying down the burden I have borne for 3,000? Right. If the two of you can spare the time, I should treat you to a meal.
That sounds like big talk, Zhongli. Paimon might have believed you if...
You're right. I do like the Mora. As the Rex Lapis Morax, I can easily create Mora. But since I have chosen to walk this earth as the mortal Zhongli, I should abide. When I was journeying with you, though I still had the Gnosis in hand, I knew that I must soon retire from my role as an Archon. So I had to rehearse a little for my new life.
Oh, no wonder! Paimon gets it now. You didn't look at the price tags when we were spending because you've never... But since you weren't used to not being able to just make more Mora as and when you wanted to, you had to try becoming a parasite to society.
Well, we were only spending Fatui money. You don't have to say it like that. In the City of Commerce, we do not merely exchange money or goods. We also exchange... The Archon Morax could never experience life as the true mortal Zhongli could. I must thank... I will treasure the memories that I made as Zhongli. That is true. But there is no journey that does not end. No...
Paimon thinks that we should make a move and continue...
I fear that continuing your journey may be difficult. The nation that neighbors Liyue by sea, Inazuma, the Electro-Archon Ball. And just as the people of Liyue preferred to call me Rex Lapis, she too goes by another name among
Paimon thinks we've heard that one before. Raiden?
That is the case. And since Raiden is also the Shogun of Inazuma, people call her the Raiden Shogun.
That said, though people at the wharf were saying that the situation in Inazuma is very tense, Paimon doesn't remember that always being the case. Zhongli, since you're Rex Lapis, shouldn't you know something about what's happening there? Just how did Inazuma...
It's because of visions.
Visions?
When faced with circumstances beyond their control, humans often bemoan their... But if a person shows true strength of will at a desperate and fateful moment in their life, this is what visions are. Magical foci.
That's how people in Tibet see it.
But starting from last year, the Raiden Shogun began promulgating the Vision Hunt.
Vision Hunt Decree?
Yes. It was an order to seize all visions within Inazuma's borders, and to inlay them upon the hands of the statue of the omnipresent god.
They want to seize visions. But why? Aren't visions blessings from the gods?
I should think that in the Raiden Shogun's eyes, it is precisely because they are divine blessings that they should be under the sole dominion of...
Whoa! That's...
The Animo Archon is the god of freedom, and the Geo Archon is the god of contracts. For her part, the Raiden Shogun is the god of eternity. It seems as though she has finally decided to eliminate any unstable elements that could pose a threat to her eternal realm. The fact that even I, the oldest of the seven, have now passed away, will only strengthen her resolve to pursue eternity. Knowing her, she must have again quoted that adage she is most fond of when proclaiming that decree to her people. 7 ideals for 7 gods. And of these, eternity is nearest. All right then. Was there anything else you wish to know? Well then, I suppose...
You know, this is starting to feel like chili pepper weather. Paimon's hungry for some fresh and fiery, spicy foods that let your taste buds have a blast. And if there's one dish that fits the bill, it's black-back perch stew. Come on, let's pay a visit to One Min Restaurant.
All right then. Was there any... Ah, that was a good one. Failing a divine trial. That said, the reason why the Chising were so eager to resolve the incident and stop pursuing the culprit was indeed because they received news in secret that I hinted as much to the Adepti as well. How did I accomplish that, you ask? All right then. Was there anything else you wished to know? These are indeed false accusations, but it remains undeniably true that Child did send people to the Jade Chamber to prevent the Adepti and the Chising from... I've heard that Ningguang is busy milking that for all it's worth on the foreign relations front at the moment, browbeating the envoys of the... those poor Snezhnayan dip... All right then. Was there anything else you wished to know? The time of the Adepti has long... Kuching is absolutely... Now, though, could the All right then. Was there anything else you wished to know? The Mora present now will not vanish. Yes, this is in... Oh, a private fund. It's a shame that I didn't think... All right then. Was there anything else you... Well then, I...
essential function.
Children, come, come. You've arrived at just the right moment.
Oh, what is it, Granny? Need any help?
Oh, no. You've done so much for Liyue Harbor already. In fact, my old friends and I have been putting our heads together to think of what sort of...
A gift? For Paimon?
Oh, child, you are so very modest. Uncommonly so, even. But when you traversed my old teapot in search of the cleansing bell, I heard your little friend mention that you often camp out in the wilds. That simply won't do. Especially, fortunately, I have not yet grown so old as to see my subspace creation. Oh, did my friends never mention that to you? Well then, it is a blessing. I will not go into too much detail, but subspace creation is the teapot that you entered previously was a little trinket created using that ability.
So, in the eyes of an adeptus, creating a magic teapot world is...
Oh, indeed, the teapot is nothing to boast of. One such as myself must depart from this realm to create a world of one's own. Rex Lapis. But that's enough nostalgia for now. The gift that I have prepared for you...
That's right! Finding stuff's what we're good at, after all.
Oh, settle down now, children. There's no need for you to go running hither and thither. What's more, I doubt that you would know how to find the materials I am searching for. Some of them are very rare. Well, for starters, I require some shimmer soil from the banks of Dihua Marsh. Back in the day, it could only be found where the glazed lilies thrived most profuse. You would have to dig downward, following the roots of the glazed lilies. And if you were... But almost no one has been able to find shimmer soil in this manner since Dihua Marsh came to be the way it is. Even more difficult to find is smaragdus jade. In any case, smaragdus jadeite is an goodness knows if that child will succeed in finding these items.
Well, since you're an Adeptus, Granny, the person you asked for help, they must be an...
Yes. I suppose she does
She counts? How come there are so many Adepti in Liyue Harbor? We seem to bump into them all the time. It feels like even when you go out to eat...
Oh, maybe so. Who can say? A fair few of my old friends are rather fond of mundane...
I'm back, Granny. Oh, I don't believe we've met.
Ah, allow me to do the honors. This child here is Yanfei. She's the one helping run some errands for me. Yanfei, I believe you've already heard of the traveler and her traveling companion.
Of course, who hasn't? Much has been written about you in the Millilith's records. You became one of Liyue's most wanted after the Millilith marked you as a suspect following the incident at the Rite of Dissension. After which, you fought off the Millilith at Julian Karst before finally defeating an ancient god together with Granny and her associates, and subsequently being cleared of any and all suspicion by the Chiseng. A shame that we didn't meet sooner. If we had, well, I can't say that I would have been able to clear you of suspicion immediately, but it certainly would have been less, embarrassing for you. Allow me to introduce myself once more. I'm Yanfei, a legal advisor. Got a legal... Oh, yes. Here's my business card. You'll find it has my... If you have an urgent issue, just leave me a note at this address.
All right, Yanfei, all right. Let's get to the business at hand. You'll have to excuse Yanfei. She's always been like...
Paimon was gonna...
An Adeptus? I guess. Kinda. My old man said he was one anyway. He mentioned that he once campaigned with Rex Lapis for a long old time, and then after that was all over, they had me, and once I was all grown up, the two of them upped and left on a journey, leaving me with Granny here.
Well, that's a bit casual for an Adeptus. Aren't you guys supposed to sign solemn contracts to protect Liyue Harbor and all that stuff? What do you mean he just whipped...
Well, my dad did say that he'd talked it through with Rex Lapis, and that he was fine with it. Even contributed towards the wedding gift, apparently. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. The chasm's been sealed off, and there's just...
Is that so? But smaragdus jadeite is... Yanfei, are you sure you can't find some other way? They have helped Liyue greatly, after all.
I know, Granny, you've told me 1,000 times already. Well, the chasm's definitely a no-go, but there's still a chance we can figure out... Hold on a moment.
Whoa, that's a really thick book.
Commercial consultancy. Or... Crossel. A Snezhnayan merchant who once came to me with some legal queries on certain articles. He mentioned that he was considering acquiring some smaragdus jadeite to make hairpins, and wanted to know if there were any legal So, I guess I'll go look for him. With any luck, he'll have... Oh, you want to join me? I suppose that's no problem, but it's best if you just stand by and watch. If you try to get involved, you'll only risk placing...
Wow, an Adeptus imploring us to avoid incurring... Best we be a little more careful than usual while...
What monster made the deepest impression on you?
Beat the atmosphere here and...
Hello, Mr. Crossell. How's business been?
Oh, good. Very good. All thanks to your advice, Miss Yanfei. What brings you here today?
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now, I believe that the last time we met, you mentioned that you were looking to source some smaragdus jadeite to make hairpins.
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, in the end, Miss Yanfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins? I must apologize. I've already rented them out to a lady named Xiao.
Wait, isn't smaragdus jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried about the hairpins getting damaged or lost while they're being rented out?
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract with Ms. Xiao before renting them to her. The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, she must compensate me for its full original value. In return, I included a clause that guarantees the smaragdus jadeite is
guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be false. Yes, these terms are very clear indeed.
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the assurance we need. To ensure fairness, each of us has retained an original copy of...
In that case, might you know where Miss Xiao lives? We'd like to pay her a visit and have a look at the hairpins.
Oh, of course. She wrote her address down when we signed our contract.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Crossell. We'll be off.
Whatever shall I do? Yes, that's me.
How do you do, Miss Xiao? We understand from Mr. Crossell that you recently rented a pair of hairpins. My associates and I are very interested in them. Would you mind letting us take a look at them?
The hairpins? I can't lend them to you right now. I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side, and I hadn't even worn them yet. I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value, there's no way I could come up with that amount of money on such short notice. My family is in the ore business too. but business has been suffering ever since the chasm was sealed off. We now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around, so we've been having to purchase some stock from other ore merchants to complete them. A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. I need this opportunity to mingle and discuss prices. That's what the hairpins were for, to keep up appearances. I can't have them looking down on me. But now that I've lost the hairpins, what will I...
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense of déjà vu?
Would you really? I sent a commission to the Adventurers Guild, but I haven't heard anything back from them yet.
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Miss Zhiqiao, would you let me have a look at the rental contract you...
Huh? Well, I mean, sure.
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? Maybe she can help Zhiqiao. True. Though surely there must be a win-win solution.
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that you must pay Mr. Crossell the original value of the... Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of compensation must take current market prices into account. And given the rarity of Smaragdus Jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation may end up being significant...
Even higher? Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Zhiqiao looks like she's about to faint.
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid into the hairpins.
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hairpins are lost, so how exactly would we be able to find out if, whichever way you look at it, we've got to start by finding those hairpins.
Except that if we found the hairpins, there'd no longer be any need to check whether the Jadeite is genuine, would there?
Please. Please, Don't trouble yourselves over this. The fact is, I lost the item, and however much it is, I will have to pay it. My family are merchants, after all. It's vital that we keep our word and respect our... Now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep Crossell in the dark any longer. I'll go and inform him of the issue, and then...
Yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. But before that, I have some questions about... So hold on a moment, Miss Zhiqiao. When you first touched the hairpins...
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstones set into the pins were perfectly smooth. My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the past, so I am quite certain of my judgment in this matter.
Smooth to the touch. Finest quality jade. No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine a few things. Let's head over to Mr. Crossell's.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With Miss Zhiqiao in tow, too, I see. How are the hairpins? I trust... You lost them? Are you serious? Do you have any idea how
I'm sorry. Truly I am. I'll pay the compensation as per our contract.
Mora! Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my hands on that Smaragdus Jadeite? I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back. Since Miss Yanfei is here, I suppose we can just have her estimate the amount that needs to be paid.
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. Yes, and if I may just confirm, it was in fact genuine Smaragdus Jadeite inlaid into the hairpin.
Of course! Genuine article guaranteed, or I pay back 10 times the value.
All right, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official assessment of the sum owed by Mr. Chow in compensation.
Thank you very much.
Looks like I'll have to find some way to raise that...
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something to discuss with you. It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit and talk in more detail.